Well, we've covered cedar, we've covered dry rot, we've even covered how to bring sloppy wet tinders back to life. But we can't stop here because we haven't even seen our favorite, most commonly used methods yet. We definitely have a few more tricks up our sleeve for wet weather fire making, so let's dive into it now. I'm Luke, this is Wilderness Strong. Sometimes the rain just won't quit, especially in the Pacific Northwest during the middle of winter. But that does not mean your fire making has to. In cold, wet weather conditions, when you need to get a fire going, you have to know where to look for materials. And for us, many times the answer is not looking down at the ground, it's looking up, specifically for large evergreens. For we know what's waiting for us at the base of these towering sentinels: shelter and some hidden fire-making treasures, if you know where to look. The first place to look might seem self-evident, but too often this gets overlooked. The very smallest tips of the lower limbs of fir trees have twigs that have been sitting in the air drying. Even in the rain, these twigs have very little surface area to collect and hold moisture. We've found that a bundle of these will go up in flame from one match without any tinder needed in most conditions. Let's look a bit closer at this Douglas fir tree. Wow, is there any question whether or not this would make a good fire starter? What you're looking at here is not uncommon. Fir trees, especially older fir trees, don't make you work too hard to collect incredible flammable fire starter. Not only on the bark itself, but look down at the ground, at the base of the tree. Years of dripping pitch has formed the ultimate coagulation of twigs, needles, pitch, and leaves for wet weather fire making. Already made and ready to light. But don't just take our word for it. Watch what happens to this stuff when it starts burning. That is what we call flammable, literally dripping fire. That zinging noise may be the coolest sound you can hear in the world of fire making. Okay, let's keep diving into the mysterious hidden caverns of the Doug fir to search for even more methods for getting a fire going. This rotted fir dust is bone dry. It's been gathering into piles for many decades. Flammable might be the wrong word to describe the effectiveness of this stuff, so we'll go with smolderable. Very, very smolderable. Watch what happens when we drop in an ember from a friction fire. Just like we covered in our dry rot video, an ember from a friction fire is ideal for igniting fire starting material that's in dust form. Now, in that video, we created our own dust pile by breaking down the dry rot into tiny particles. In this case, the piles of dust were already processed for us. Okay, we wanted to show you how to light this pile up with a match instead of with a friction ember. Now, this is another situation in fire making where we actually prefer using friction over a match. You can do it with a match, but there's a little trick to it. It's not as simple as just laying your match down on top of the pile. See, typically when lighting something with a match, you're relying on the top of the flame to ignite the bottom of the material you're trying to light. Well, how do you do that with a pile of dust? You don't. Instead, you need to burrow out a tiny trench to lay your match in. Then gently surround the flame little by little with the dust. If you bring it in too much too quick and too close, it'll starve the flame of oxygen. So you have to bring it in slow and careful until it begins smoldering. Old fir trees like this have lots of secrets, and they're always hiding things. But through the years, we've learned where the treasure's hiding. We're not going to be too picky about what we pull out of these little tinder caves. If it's dry, we're taking it. After all these years of making fires in the rain in one of the wettest parts of the country, we are still blown away by how generous nature is in providing multiple means of fire making for the cold and wet fire maker. If you like what you're seeing, the absolute best thing you can do to let us know is just give us a thumbs up. Leave us a comment and subscribe to see more videos like this. If you're new to the Wilderness Strong community, we are all about giving you detailed, up-close educational videos covering bushcraft, nature, ethnobotany, and wilderness survival. We'll see you all in the next one.